And welcome in to the LMU Lacrosse Complex on the campus of Lincoln Memorial University, where the Lincoln Memorial Lady Rail Splitter lacrosse team prepares to do battle with the Arrows of Ursuline College right here from Harrogate, Tennessee. Hello, I am Brandon Burke. I will be your lone analyst for this afternoon's lacrosse matchup between the Lady Rail Splitters and the Arrows of Ursuline, as we are set for our very first draw control of this afternoon. The Lady Rail Splitters, fresh off of a history-making victory last Saturday, just 48 hours ago, they defeated the Wolves of Newberry College to earn their first ever South Atlantic Conference win in program history. This is their third season of operation, and they are set to hopefully grab a little bit of momentum fresh off their huge win just 48 hours ago. The Arrows of Ursuline, on the other hand, they enter this evening's matchup at 1-1. They were coming off a victory over Mount St. Joseph in their last outing. They won that one 18-6. As this is Casey Kelly for Lincoln Memorial, already looking for a goal in just the opening seconds, and she got it already. Lincoln Memorial takes this one 1-0 off the first goal from Casey Kelly. Just 15 seconds into the game, Casey Kelly gets the Lady Rail Splitters off to a ferocious start, as we are only at the 29:45 mark here in the first half. Unbelievable start for Lincoln Memorial. Kelly picked up 4 goals in the Lady Rail Splitters' last outing against Newberry, along with Kennedy Beechner. And just like that, a few seconds into this one, the Lady Rail Splitters are on the board. Off the draw control win from Casey Kelly, she took it right there at midfield and brought it all the way home. The Lady Rail Splitters have now won their second draw control of the afternoon, and here comes Kelly. She brings it in to Heather Roach. Roach is looking for another shot on goal. That one is blocked. Goalie for the Arrows of Ursuline is Lauren Cole, senior from Brighton, Michigan. As we had a stoppage in play and we're set to resume. It was an offensive explosion for Lincoln Memorial in their last contest against Newberry, as they took a 10-3 halftime lead thanks to 2 5-0 runs from Lincoln Memorial. And again, that was their first conference victory in program history. This is a little non-conference detour, if you will, today, as they will return back to South Atlantic Conference action this Saturday when they will visit the Indians of Catawba. As Amara Moss looks to attack and get the Lady Rail Splitters up 2-0. She's got it at the X with number 27, Kennedy Beechner. Lincoln Memorial has controlled the entire portion of the match so far, as the right side of your screen has been dominated by the offense of Lincoln Memorial. Roach looks to attack, tried to get it inside to Zervos, couldn't do it. Casey Kelly picks it up for the Rail Splitters. And still looking for a ground ball recovery, and Kelly is able to recover it. She gets it out to Heather Roach. Rachel Bernhardt for Lincoln Memorial, now to Kennedy Beechner. Again, Beechner, one of the 2 Lady Rail Splitters that put up 4 goals in the win over Newberry, as Heather Roach and Amara Moss and Zoe Zervos each had 2 goals apiece in that one, as that shot on goal is just a little bit too high for Heather Roach, the senior from Vero Beach, Florida, the transfer from Florida Tech University. Again, 1-0 your score here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex. If you're joining us just now, you missed the opening goal of the contest. That was just 15 seconds in, as Casey Kelly took the opening draw control and fired one in from the right side unassisted. And that is where we stand at 1-0 as we're set to resume play. This is the first home matchup of the season for Lincoln Memorial, as a shot attempted there by Amara Moss was just a little bit low, and the Arrows take over on offense. Again, this is the first home matchup of the season for Lincoln Memorial and the 4th contest of the year. They enter this one at 1-2 after 2 road losses to begin the year against Shorter University and Alabama Huntsville. but picking up their first road win and their first win of the season just 48 hours ago against Newberry, as Brianna Cervantes leads the attack for Ursuline and gives it off to Annika Abreg. Maddie Kipp now for the Arrows, looks to attack with Amara Moss defending. Moss slips and there's a whistle as Kipp attempts to get a shot on goal opportunity. And it will remain Ursuline's ball with Kipp. Goalie for Lincoln Memorial is Shannon Novak, the junior from Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan, earned 127 saves over the course of last season, as Kipp's shot attempt was to the left of the goal, and Ursuline will take over at the X with Annika Abreg. Lincoln Memorial not the best defensive squad, at least early in the 2017 campaign, as they caused the turnover with Casey Kelly. Lincoln Memorial allowed 12 points to Shorter University and allowed 17 in that 9-point loss to Alabama Huntsville. It looked a little bit better against Newberry, especially on the offensive side. The offensive numbers have improved every game for Lincoln Memorial, as the Lady Rail Splitters have now returned to play on offense. Beechner now on the left side, gets past several defenders and is able to score. Are they going to count that? I believe they are, as Beechner, with defenders all over her, is able to score. And with 26:16 left on the clock, our score is 2-0 Lincoln Memorial. So the offensive production has definitely picked up for Lincoln Memorial over the course of the last two games. They put up a whopping 15 over the weekend against the Wolves of Newberry. And now with 26:16 left to go in the first half, Lincoln Memorial has scored 2 already against the Arrows. It has been an offensive show thus far for Lincoln Memorial, as the Lady Rail Splitters attempt to win their third draw control of the afternoon, as Mother Nature has started to take control here in Harrogate, as it is just beginning to rain here at the LMU Lacrosse Complex. As Lincoln Memorial wins their third consecutive draw control of the afternoon with Casey Kelly. Now Heather Roach on the right side is going to lead the offensive attack for Lincoln Memorial. Again, the Lady Rail Splitters lead this one 2-0. This is Jasmine Click, who gives it over to Rachel Bernhardt to Casey Kelly. Over the course of the 3 games leading into today for Lincoln Memorial, a total of 6 players have scored goals for the Lady Rail Splitters, those being Jasmine Click, Casey Kelly, Heather Roach, Amara Moss, Zoe Zervos, and Kennedy Beechner. And thus far, Kelly and Beechner have provided the 2 scores for the day for Lincoln Memorial, as the rain continues to go down here in Harrogate. Casey Kelly on the left side of the goal drives in. That one's blocked. A nice save that time by the goalie for the Arrows, Lauren Cole. Lady Rail Splitters retain possession. Up on this one 2-0. Fresh off the heels of their history-making win on Saturday. 15-9 over the Wolves of Newberry. And Heather Roach and the Rail Splitters look to continue their success and post an even 2-2 on the season, as Roach is set to resume play from the right side of the goal with Cole staring her down. And there's another goal for Lincoln Memorial. 3-0 to LMU already. An offensive show put forth by the Lady Rail Splitters. Heather Roach puts together her first goal of the afternoon. An unbelievable offensive show, as I believe it's 24-14 left to go. 25-14, excuse me. 24-13, excuse me. From where we're sitting here at the LMU Lacrosse Complex, it's difficult to see the scoreboard. Our technical direction for today's broadcast is Adam Haley, and Adam just had to provide me with the time there, as it was, one more time, 25-13 you said, Adam. 24-53. See, I've got the headset on. It's hard to hear. sometimes you just have those difficulties. It's live television, folks. You never know, or live stream. You never know what's going to happen. As the Lady Rail Splitters have just been all over it offensively. Casey Kelly put together her first goal with just 15 seconds in. Kennedy Beechner added to that just over 3 minutes later, and just almost 2 minutes after that, Heather Roach puts the third goal together for Lincoln Memorial, and thus far, almost 6 minutes into the contest, it has been all Lincoln Memorial. They've been able to control the pace of the game. They've been able to keep the ball on their side of the field for almost the majority of the entire game, and obviously the 3 goals have contributed to their lead from Casey Kelly, Kennedy Beechner, and Heather Roach. One more time, folks, that was with 24 minutes and 53 seconds on the clock. That last goal from Heather Roach. As previously mentioned, technical direction for today's broadcast is done by Adam Haley, and camera operation is done by Elizabeth Manning. Again, I am Brandon Burke, joining you from the LMU Lacrosse Complex on this Monday afternoon in Harrogate, Tennessee, as Lincoln Memorial attempts to win their 4th consecutive draw control of the afternoon with Amara Moss. So far, Moss and Casey Kelly have been so dependent on those draw controls, and this time it was almost won by Ursuline, but the Lady Rail Splitters took control with Casey Kelly there. Ursuline nearly won their first draw control of the game, and Heather Roach is bringing the attack for Lincoln Memorial, driving to the right side. Her shot on goal was a little bit too high, had the numbers, but just couldn't convert that time. Another save from the goalie, Lauren Cole. Haven't been able to mention the attackers for the Arrows thus far throughout the majority of the contest because they have not been on offense so far. It's been an easy day for Shannon Novak, the goalie for Lincoln Memorial. And just as I say that, here come the Arrows on offense. As we have a whistle as the ball was knocked loose from the stick, and Ursuline will resume control with Sydney Bartlett. Bartlett going to try to take it all the way on the right side. Bartlett, the junior from Portland, Oregon. As this is now Annika Abreg. Abreg gives it off to Kip with Casey Kelly defending her. Kip tries to spin past Kelly, spins the other way. The shot on goal was just wide to the right side. Shannon Novak was there for Lincoln Memorial. And Ursuline trying to get on the scoreboard, down 3-0 early in this first half, as it has been an offensive show by the Lady Rail Splitters, as Kip has Kelly on her. And Kip gives it off to Natalie Nowicki, getting her first action of the day, as Ursuline looking to get a shot on goal down the middle, as Casey Kelly knocked the ball away from the Ursuline attacker. I believe that's number 31, Brianna Cervantes. As after the whistle, Cervantes will attempt a shot on goal. It's just a little bit too low, as Shannon Novak grabbed it from the floor. And here comes the Lady Rail Splitters the other way, as there's a scramble for the ball at midfield. Roach comes up with it for Lincoln Memorial, and Amara Moss gives it off to Casey Kelly. And Kelly, trying to get the numbers, is going to give it to the left side with Kennedy Beechner. And there's a whistle as Beechner was trying to drive from left to right. Lady Rail Splitters again lead 3-0. Fresh off their offensive show against Newberry, where they scored 15. They've already scored 3, and Beechner just looked to add to that. Had 2 shot on goal attempts right there, and neither one was successful. She had a great look at it the second time with the goalie Cole just out of position right there. But Beechner was not able to capitalize for Lincoln Memorial, and because of that, the Arrows are running the other way. And a shot on goal attempt is unsuccessful by Sydney Bartlett. I believe that's her second shot attempt of the day. And Lincoln Memorial now, the pace has quickened up somewhat in this outing, as Ursuline and Lincoln Memorial kind of trading possession here, as neither team over the last couple of minutes, neither team's been able to stay on the offensive side of the ball for very long after the opening few minutes of the contest were dominated by Lincoln Memorial. Rachel Bernhardt for Lincoln Memorial. Looks for a teammate to pass it to, and she's got a good one in Casey Kelly, who I believe is the team leader in goals this season for Lincoln Memorial through the first 3 games. And entering today's matchup, she got on the board extremely early in today's affair. Kelly with Abreg defending her. Gives it off to Amara Moss. Another positive for Lincoln Memorial thus far early in the 2017 campaign. They're a very young team. Most of their best players, or most of their players that have seen the most minutes, rather, are freshmen and sophomores. Not a lot of upperclassmen on this team for Lincoln Memorial. And with a team that's starting to build success, that's always a great sign if you're head coach Caitlin Karasi and LMU. As Bernhardt now up the middle, shot on goal to the left side, and that is good. Another goal for Lincoln Memorial as Rachel Bernhardt makes the score 4-0 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. As 20 minutes and 15 seconds remain on the clock, as we are just about 10 minutes into this first half of play, and Lincoln Memorial is attempting to turn this one into a rout. With 20:15 to go, LMU leads 4-0. 4 goals by 4 different players. Casey Kelly, Kennedy Beechner, Heather Roach, and the last one just moments ago by Rachel Bernhardt. That is Bernhardt's first goal of the season. Heading into today's game, 6 different players had scored for Lincoln Memorial, and Bernhardt scores her first goal of the 2017 season. And the Lady Rail Splitters are up 4-0, and they won another draw control. So far, the Arrows of Ursuline have not won one draw control thus far for Lincoln Memorial, and that's been a huge part of the Lady Rail Splitters' success and has been a key reason for their 4 goals and their huge amount of time on the offensive side of the ball. Bernhardt, fresh off her goal just a few moments ago, looks for a teammate to pass it to as she has Victoria Madray defending her. Beechner on the left side. Beechner, by the way, a freshman from Stafford, Virginia, as the youth that I alluded to a few minutes ago, as Ursuline takes over on the offensive side. And it looked like that time Maddie Kipp was bumped out of bounds by Amara Moss, was checked just a little bit. And after they resume play, Kipp looks for number 40, Hannah Hunt. And the ball was lost momentarily, but the Arrows are able to gain it back. Down 4-0, trying to chip into this lead a little bit. As we are over 10 minutes in the first half, a game that has thus far been dominated by the Lady Rail Splitters. Abreg gives it to Sydney Bartlett for the Arrows. Bartlett has had 2 shot on goal attempts thus far in the game, as she is being harassed by a couple Lady Rail Splitters, Kelly and Moss, for Lincoln Memorial defending Bartlett on that occasion. Bartlett gives it over to Abreg on the left side of the goal. Abreg now somehow got a pass inside there to Natalie Nowicki, and Nowicki's able to come out of there with the ball, and she gives it to Brianna Cervantes. Cervantes, with 2 Lady Rail Splitters on her, gives it to Bartlett towards the right side of the goal. Bartlett, that was a beautiful setup, and the Arrows are now on the board as Haley Mazreku gets on the board for the Arrows off a great find from Nowicki, and that makes the score 4-1 Lincoln Memorial. As 18-12 remains on the board here in the first half, the Arrows finally have been able to stop the bleeding somewhat off the goal from number 12, Haley Mazreku, off the great find from Natalie Nowicki. A great offensive possession overall that time from Nowicki, as she was able to get out of a huge pile there towards the goal, was able to come out of there with the ball and find Mazreku right at the goal, and she scores and makes it a 3-point game, as our next draw control is set to get underway, and this one is going to be won by Lincoln Memorial and Kennedy Beechner. As Beechner now finds Heather Roach at the X. Roach gives it off to Casey Kelly. Kelly to Bernhardt. As now Bernhardt gives it off at the X. Back out to Amara Moss momentarily as Kip was defending that time and was able to knock the ball out of play. As it was a 50-50 ball that time between Moss and Kip, and Ursuline will take over with Maddie Kip. As they have now crossed the other side of the field into Lincoln Memorial territory, and this is Nowicki on the left side. Nowicki with number 13 for Lincoln Memorial, Mackenzie Eads, defending her. She goes around the goal and she scores again. Another goal from Ursuline, and just like that, it's a 2-point ball game. As Nowicki scores her first goal of the afternoon, and it is 4-2 now in favor of Lincoln Memorial. Ursuline with a little bit of fire left inside of them after a 4-0 deficit. Just moments after the goal scored by Mazriku, Nowicki adds to that as there's 17 minutes and 11 seconds left here in the opening half of play, and 2 goals just literally almost a minute apart from each other, and Lincoln Memorial takes a 4-2 lead, as it was 4-0, but 2 quick ones by the Arrows have made it 4-2 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. Both teams scoring in spurts here in this afternoon, this rainy afternoon from Harrogate, Tennessee, as it was all Lincoln Memorial in the beginning, with Casey Kelly, Kennedy Beechner, Heather Roach, and number 23, Rachel Bernhardt, all scoring in quick succession to take a 4-0 advantage. However, Mazriku and Nowicki for Ursuline have made the deficit much more manageable, and all of a sudden, it's a 4-2 lead in favor of Lincoln Memorial. Last Saturday in their win over the Wolves of Newberry, it was the Wolves who actually scored almost a minute into the contest to take a 1-0 lead before Lincoln Memorial took a 5-1 advantage off of 5 consecutive goals, and then another 5-0 run towards the end of the first half enabled them to take a 10-3 lead into the break, and they were able to ride that advantage to turn that into a 15-9 victory. And here, it's been the opposite. Lincoln Memorial started off with huge offensive production, taking a 4-0 lead, and Ursuline has fought back now as they only trail by 2. As we are ready for our next draw control with Amara Moss and Maddie Kip, and Lincoln Memorial wins yet again. One category that has just been dominated from Lincoln Memorial is the draw controls so far from the LMU Lacrosse Complex in the Lady Rail Splitters' first home game of the season. Again, their first 3 contests of the season were on the road, and it's a quick trip here for the Lady Rail Splitters as they return to the road next weekend. And they're looking to return to the road with another win as they just scored another goal. Lincoln Memorial, after 2 quick goals from Ursuline, Lincoln Memorial scores one of their own to bring the deficit back to 3, and it's now 5-2 Lady Rail Splitters. That was number 19, Zoe Zervos, who got the goal that time. I was looking down when it actually happened. The action has been so fast-paced here from Harrogate as 16:40 is left on the board, and Zervos continues the offensive onslaught for Lincoln Memorial. And that goal for Zervos comes just a few seconds after Nowicki's goal made it 4-2. It's now 5-2 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. As there's a whistle before the draw control was able to take place between Amara Moss and Maddie Kip. And it's going to go to Ursuline as Kip prepares to attack from midfield with Moss defending. Kip at the center with Moss defending her. Ursuline has been very successful in their last couple offensive trips. This time the shot was unsuccessful, and a long outlet pass from Shannon Novak, and she completes it to Autumn Beddington. And Beddington, the midfielder, will bring it in for Lincoln Memorial, and the Lady Rail Splitters will return to the offensive side. So when the Arrows win the draw control, they were not able to manage an offensive possession, if you will. They weren't able to attack for as long as they had liked that time. As the Lady Rail Splitters now on the offensive side with Heather Roach. Roach on the right side loses the ball as she's trying to attack, as there's a whistle as she lost the ball. It's going to remain with Lincoln Memorial. As that was number 6, Grace Savage, defending on that occasion, and Roach almost had a goal attempt right there as Cole swatted that one away. That's not Kip. It looked like Maddie Kip for a second. That's actually number 7, Victoria Madray for Ursuline, who takes over on the offensive end. As Madray with Beddington defending her. Madray on the left side. Looks like she had a good look at a shot on goal attempt right there. Aimed out instead to pass it to Nowicki to her left. As the Arrows look to cut into this 3-point deficit, down 5-2 after an offensive show from Lincoln Memorial here in the opening half of play, as Shannon Novak says no to that goal attempt and looks for a long pass to Heather Roach, and Roach was not able to corral that ball in, and the ball still loose as several players vying for it, and Beddington for Lincoln Memorial momentarily had it. The ball still loose as so many players going for it near the far sideline, as there's a whistle as players trying to get in there, and Ursuline is actually going to take back over on the offensive side. A long outlet pass to Abreg. Abreg loses it for a moment, almost had a great shot opportunity right there from the long pass from just about midfield. Abreg takes it and almost had Novak out of position for Lincoln Memorial. And Abreg was fouled that time as she was hitting the floor trying to take care of that ball, as the Arrows now resume play on the offensive side. Abreg with Maya Blyden defending her from Lincoln Memorial, as we have another whistle. And that's another call against Lincoln Memorial with Annika Abreg looking to resume play from the left side of the goal. Abreg waiting for the signal from the official, as the Lady Rail Splitters lead this one 5-2 off of 5 goals from 5 different players. Abreg now gives it off to number 12, Haley Mesriku, who scored the first goal of the game for Ursuline. Abreg on the left side. Nearly got it off to number 40, Hannah Hunt, but instead it looks like a Lady Rail Splitter was able to control that. That's number 15, Jenny Shorling. And Shorling was pushed out of bounds, and Ursuline will take back over with Maddie Kip, as the Arrows lost the ball momentarily but were able to gain possession, as Kip spins past Casey Kelly and almost had a great goal that time, as she was able to get past a couple Lady Rail Splitters. The goal was just off wide to the left side. Ursuline, after having to defend for the majority of this first half, they've been on the offensive side of the field for quite some time now. As Nowicki on the left side of the goal looks to score, couldn't do it. She gives it out to Brianna Cervantes, as Cervantes slips and is able to throw the ball away to Maddie Kip, and Ursuline will reset. Amara Moss defending Kip. Kip trying to get Moss off of her, tries to get the ball away to Brianna Cervantes. It's picked up in the end by Nowicki. As there's another whistle. As Ursuline continues this long offensive possession. With Brianna Cervantes, she gets the whistle, the senior from California. Cervantes off the signal from the official as we await it. Gets ready for the goal to Shannon Novak, and she stops that one. Another save from Novak. She was so dependable throughout all of the 2016 season. Again, she amassed a total of 127 saves through the course of her career. Or, excuse me, just not her career, just last season in general. Novak, the junior from Michigan. As Novak's still looking for a Lady Rail Splitter to pass the ball to. After the save, she's had the ball for quite some time, looking for someone to throw to. After several fakes, still looking for someone. The Arrows with tenacious on defense here, as they're not allowing any Lady Rail Splitter to take possession of the ball, as Novak finally gets it away and finds Casey Kelly. Kelly slicing through a couple of arrows and goes to the left side of the field. And she's going to back it out and wait for another teammate. And she actually loses the ball in the process. And Maddie Kipp picks that one up off the turnover from Casey Kelly, as Kipp is pushed out of bounds and she will resume play. Both these teams coming off of a victory in their last outing, as Nowicki was racing to the goal, and we have another whistle against Lincoln Memorial. As Nowicki will now look to score at center field. And that shot on goal is unsuccessful, another unsuccessful attempt. As I mentioned, both teams are coming off of victories. Ursuline enters this one 1-1, while the Lady Rail Splitters enter this contest with a 1-2 overall record. Both teams picking up their first win of the season just a few days ago, as Lincoln Memorial actually did it just 48 hours ago, last Saturday down in Newberry, South Carolina. This is Haley Mazriku looking to score, and she almost gets the job done. Ball just out of the reach of Shannon Novak, but the ball does not go into the net. And Ursuline will stay on offense. Again, they have been in control here. The attackers for Ursuline, that is, for a large portion of the last several minutes, it looks like. Trying to cut into this 5-2 deficit off the last goal from Zoe Zervos, with 16 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the half, and quite some time has passed since then. As there are now 9 minutes left in the game. 7 minutes have passed since that last goal from Zervos, and it seems like just about all that time is spent here on the left side of the field, where Ursuline has been on the offensive. Bartlett now on the left side for the Arrows. Tries to spin past the defender, couldn't do it. And with the Lady Rail Splitter defender all over Bartlett, she has to give it up. And she gives it up to number 31, Brianna Cervantes. And Cervantes' shot attempt, again, unsuccessful, as she tried to go low on Shannon Novak, and it did not work. Ursuline around the left side of the goal with Maddie Kipp. Kipp loses the ball for a split second, and as she lost it, there's a whistle on the defender of Lincoln Memorial, as that's number 18, Mia Blyden, the senior from St. Thomas Virgin Islands. As Shannon Novak will finally take over on possession for Lincoln Memorial, and the Lady Rail Splitters will try to attack, as Jenny Shorling tried to get the ball over to her teammate, Autumn Beddington. And that's going to be a turnover for Lincoln Memorial. As just as the Lady Rail Splitters were able to obtain offensive possession, they give it right back to Ursuline, and the Arrows nearly gave it right back to Lincoln Memorial. And as the Sun has now come out here at the LMU Lacrosse Complex. It did rain for a few minutes there in the early going, but that has stopped, and on a cloudy day, the sun has just peeked out for a split second as Ursuline now on the offensive side again here. The last few minutes, the offensive control has been dominated by the Arrows. Bartlett tried to control that pass and couldn't do it as she had a defender riding on her, and it's a whistle against the Lady Rail Splitters. As Bartlett now is set to get a shot on goal attempt after the penalty, and she's able to do it. Bartlett scores off of the penalty, and now the deficit is only 2. It is now 5-3 in favor of Lincoln Memorial, as over the last couple of minutes, teams have traded goals, and Bartlett gets her first of the afternoon. With 7 minutes remaining, 7 minutes and 1 second to be exact, the Arrows of Ursuline College have made this one 5-3, a total of 8 goals thus far in the first half. It's been an offensive show, and that long offensive possession for Ursuline finally pays off as they were able to win the draw control and not let Lincoln Memorial be on the offensive for too long, as they've been so dangerous thus far in the contest. And the Arrows able to capitalize on their long offensive possession. And number 32, Sydney Bartlett, the junior from Portland, Oregon, was able to score off of the penalty. And the deficit is now 2, as the momentum is seemingly all with the Arrows right now, as they momentarily won a draw control. It's still up for grabs, and Bartlett comes out of there with it close to the goal. She's got the numbers, and she scores again. Unbelievable for Sydney Bartlett. What a draw control victory that time for Ursuline, and Bartlett comes away with it a long distance away from midfield on the left side, and she had the numbers against Lincoln Memorial's defense, and that was no problem for Sydney Bartlett. As 6 minutes and 39 seconds remain in the first half, she just scored a moment ago with 7:01 remaining. She scores again with 6:39 remaining, and just like that, back-to-back goals from Sydney Bartlett have made this a 1-point game. It is now 5-4 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. An unbelievable couple of seconds that time for the junior for Ursuline. She has been a bright spot thus far for the Arrows, as a 4-0 advantage for Lincoln Memorial has now turned into a 5-4 advantage, as Ursuline is on a 4-1 run off of goals from Mazriku, Nowicki, and back-to-back goals in the span of just a few seconds from Sydney Bartlett. Casey Kelly started things off for Lincoln Memorial with a goal with just about 15 seconds in, and then Kennedy Beechner, Heather Roach, and Rachel Bernhardt were able to make the score 4-0. And just when it looked like the Arrows were going to be out of it very early on in the game, Mazriku and Nowicki made it 4-2. And then Zoe Zervos, the freshman from Ithaca, New York, was able to make the score 5-2. But in the span of a few seconds, Sydney Bartlett scores consecutive goals to make it 5-4. And all of the momentum right now is with Ursuline. An unbelievable offensive flurry that time from the Arrows, as Lincoln Memorial has won just about every draw control thus far in the afternoon, and the last couple have not gone their way, and that time Ursuline was able to maintain possession of that ball at the worst place for Lincoln Memorial, just a short distance away from Shannon Novak, the goalie for the Lady Rail Splitters. And that was no problem for Bartlett, scoring on the left side of the goal. And it is now 5-4 in favor of Lincoln Memorial, as we are set for our next draw control off of the timeout. And it looks like this one is almost controlled by Lincoln Memorial, and Heather Roach, she had it and lost it. As there's a whistle, and this one's going to go to the Arrows, I believe. And it looks like Ursuline's going to win yet another draw control. What was such a slow start offensively and defensively for the Arrows, they have managed to turn this game around in their favor, as Bartlett who has the hot hand at the moment, is going to give it off to Maddie Kipp. The Arrows are all of a sudden only facing a 1-point deficit. And Kipp with Casey Kelly defending her. She gives it off to Brianna Cervantes. And it looks like finally, if the Lady Rail Splitters can get past midfield, they will be able to be on the offensive side, as that ball was lost and took control again by number 5, Melissa Saganich. As it looks like that ball nearly went out of bounds, and it looks like it will go out of bounds, as Lincoln Memorial, forcing the turnover for Ursuline, was never able to gain full control of the ball, as the ball skipped all the way out of bounds. But the Lady Rail Splitters will now reset, as they are just behind the goal with Kennedy Beechner, and the Lady Rail Splitters are finally on the offensive attack for the first time in a long time. Beechner on the left side. She's going to give it to Casey Kelly. Kelly fires it into Amara Moss, who scores. Amara Moss scores her first goal of the game. And it's back and forth here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex, as Amara Moss, stumbling to the floor, is able to fire that one off to the right side. And Amara Moss picks up her first goal of the game, and it's 6-4 Lady Rail Splitters. 4:56 remain in the first half, and this is an amazing statistic, folks. The Lady Rail Splitters have now put up 6 goals by 6 different players. Casey Kelly, Kennedy Beechner, Heather Roach, Rachel Bernhardt, and then the last 2 from Zoe Zervos and Amara Moss. It's 6-4 as the Lady Rail Splitters respond from Sydney Bartlett's flurry from Ursuline, and Amara Moss manages what could possibly be the most difficult goal of the game for Lincoln Memorial. And the Lady Rail Splitters, now the momentum is back on their side as Kennedy Beechner takes it off the draw control win. The Lady Rail Splitters, as we approach the halftime break here, coming up in just a few minutes, they lead this one 6-4. It's been a game of runs thus far this afternoon. As Amara Moss from the left side, she's got number 12, Haley Mazriku, defending her. As Moss gives it to Beechner. Beechner to Casey Kelly. That's a fantastic save that time by the goalie for the Arrows, Lauren Cole. As Casey Kelly had a great look from the left side off an immediate reception. She turned around and tried to get it a shot on goal, and it was blocked by Cole. And here comes Nowicki the other way for Ursuline, and she scores. Another goal from Ursuline as Nowicki is able to cut the deficit back to 1. That's her second goal of the game. Fresh off a shot attempt from Casey Kelly, Nowicki takes it the other way and scores just seconds later. And now it's 6-5 Lincoln Memorial. 3:55, a minute after, almost exactly a minute after Amara Moss's goal, Nowicki answers with her second goal of the game. She scored her first goal with 17 minutes and 11 seconds left to go in the first half, and she's put her second one in. 3:55 to go, and it's 6-5 Lincoln Memorial. Unbelievable offensive show as we've had 11 combined goals throughout the first period of play, the first half of play, if you will. And the next draw control has been won by Ursuline. It seems like whoever gets the goal, that same team is able to win that draw control. At least that has been the trend thus far in the game. Lincoln Memorial, after they get the goal, they're able to win the draw control, and it's been the same story for the Arrows. Nowicki now on the left side with Melissa Saganich defending her. She's going to give it to Cervantes. Kipp with Jenny Shorling on her. Shorling's able to knock the ball away from Kipp. Ball's still loose as several players are vying for the ball, as we had a whistle before either team could maintain possession of the ball. As there's about 3 minutes left to go in the first half, and it's been a close one. Just a few minutes in, we didn't think that it was going to be a close one after Lincoln Memorial took a 4-1 advantage. But since then, it's been a 5-2 spurt for Ursuline. And just like that, it's 6-5, Lincoln Memorial. The Lady Rail Splitters trying to win their second consecutive game off of their South Atlantic Conference victory over Newberry this past Saturday. And the Lady Rail Splitters are now leading the charge as they almost were able to get a good possession that time off the offense, and Amara Moss nearly was able to scoop that ball up as a couple Lady Rail Splitters weren't able to grasp that ball fully off the turnover from Ursuline. As we had a stoppage of play, as Amara Moss was able to, thankfully for the Lady Rail Splitters, was able to take that ball as we are under 2 minutes remaining in the first half. It seems like this first half has just flown by as there's been so many offensive goals scored, and Heather Roach looks to make another one, and she nearly did, but a great save that time by Lauren Cole. At least defensively, you've got to believe that Cole is the MVP thus far of the game for Ursuline. Yes, the Arrows have given up 6 goals, but Cole has made some fantastic saves along the way, or else that deficit would be even bigger. As an Arrow trip that time, that was Abreg. Looked to me a little bit inadvertent trip that time by Kennedy Beechner. She nonetheless gets called for the foul, and the Arrows are going to take it the other way. Cervantes, as we approach the end of the first half of play, trying to even this one up at 6 goals apiece. It's been an offensive show thus far. There's no doubt about that. If you are an offensive fan, then this first half has definitely pleased you, as we've had 11 combined goals between the two teams thus far. As the Arrows just turned the ball over, and the Lady Rail Splitters possibly gave it right back to them. And no, they did not, as somehow Novak is able to come away with that scrap with the ball. As just a second ago, it looked like Novak wasn't even near the pile, but she's able to scoop that one up. And Lady Rail Splitters are going the other way with Autumn Beddington.
30 seconds remaining in the first half.
And she gives it off to Beechner, who scores with just under 30 seconds remaining in the half. Kennedy Beechner gets her second goal of the game. What a timely goal for Lincoln Memorial to push the advantage to 7-4. With 25.5 seconds remaining in the first half, Beechner scores a huge goal for Lincoln Memorial. After Shannon Novak picked up the loose ball on the other end of the field, she gives it off, and Kennedy Beechner racing towards the other end as the Arrows were not able to get back defensively. Beechner scores and makes this one 7-5 for Lincoln Memorial. With only 25 seconds remaining in the first half, Beechner puts one through, and it's 7-5 Lady Rail Splitters. And here come the Arrows the other way as they're going to try and score quickly. And Nowicki tries to get it done. There's a loose ball. It's picked up almost by Ursuline, and Shannon Novak's going to take that one. And it looks like possibly, maybe not, the Lady Rail Splitters would take this 7-5 advantage into the half. They almost lost it, but Jenny Shorling gets it back for LMU. And as the siren sounds, that is the end of the first half. Lincoln Memorial leads Ursuline 7-5. It's been an offensive show throughout the first 30 minutes of play as Lincoln Memorial leads 7-5. Back after this on the LMU Sports Network.
At Farm Bureau, we offer more than just insurance. We offer security. Whether you're insuring your automobile, boat, home, or simply buying life insurance, with Farm Bureau, you can rest assured that we have your best interest covered. Our members can also enjoy travel discounts, entertainment discounts, identity theft restoration, and home protection services. Call today at 423-869-8346 or stop by and see Brad Seal at our Harrogate location and find out why Tennessee turns to us for insurance. Experience exceptional service and experience security at Farm Bureau. Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy of Harrogate takes an individualized approach to treating people of all ages. Our therapist goals are to assist patients in reaching the pinnacle of their performance at school, work, and play. We utilize state-of-the-art equipment such as the Ultra G anti-gravity treadmill, used to rehabilitate injuries and pain throughout the body's lower extremities, and the Light Force Deep Tissue Laser Therapy, a drug-free way of treating pain throughout the body. Contact us for an appointment today. Pinnacle Performance Physical Therapy, 362 Catawba Avenue, Harrogate. Established in Jonesville, Virginia in 1888, Powell Valley National Bank has been serving businesses and residents of the region for more than 125 years and stands as the fifth oldest bank in the Commonwealth today. With additional locations now throughout the region, today Powell Valley National Bank offers the convenience of state-of-the-art banking, whether it be home, personal, business, convenience, or loans, while still assisting its customers one person at a time. Find us online at powvalleybank.com. Powell Valley National Bank. Stability and banking you can count on.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Whether institutional case good or architectural woodwork, Nolan Products Incorporated of Knoxville has been serving East Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and Southeast Kentucky since 1958. From concept to finish, Nolan Products custom builds to the highest quality standards to meet your facility specifications while using only the finest materials available. Nolan Products has been serving and meeting the needs and requirements of general contractors and architects in East Tennessee and surrounding area for more than 55 years. Nolan Products Incorporated, 912 4th Side Street Northeast, Knoxville.
Are you looking for efficient, compassionate, and comprehensive health care for you and your family? If you are, visit Lincoln Memorial University Medical Clinics in Harrogate and New Tazewell. All healthcare providers are faculty members of LMU's DeVos College of Osteopathic Medicine and are board certified in their specialty. Multiple specialties available are family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, OBGYN, geriatrics, and osteopathic manipulative medicine. Locations at Harrogate and New Tazewell. Most insurance plans are accepted. The University Medical Clinic is here to serve you. Call 423-869-7190 for an appointment.
It's no fun when you're hungry, so don't be. Go to the Old Town Grill. Steaks, chicken, seafood, pasta, salads, and oh, so much more. At the OTG, you'll find delicious meals, generous portions, with reasonable prices in a relaxing atmosphere. There's so much variety, you'll likely have a hard time choosing. But don't worry, it's all great. The Old Town Grill in London, Corbin, Berea, and in Tazewell.
It's the OTG.
The OTG, it's the place to be.
Welcome back to the LMU Lacrosse Complex as the Lady Rail Splitters lead the Arrows of Ursuline by 2. They lead this one 7-5. If you are a fan of offense, then this has been your kind of lacrosse game, as there have been a combined 12 goals throughout the first 30 minutes of play. And here is the breakdown of scoring so far in the first half. Casey Kelly got things underway for Lincoln Memorial as she scored her first goal just 15 seconds into the contest. With 29:45 left in the first half, Casey Kelly made it 1-0 Lady Rail Splitters, followed by Kennedy Beechner just a few minutes later, almost 3 minutes later. With 26:16 on the clock, Kennedy Beechner made that one 2-0 Lincoln Memorial, followed by Heather Roach, the senior, put in another goal with 24:53 remaining on the clock to make it 3-0 Lincoln Memorial. And then finally, Rachel Bernhardt capped off the 4-0 run for the Lady Rail Splitters with 20 minutes and 15 seconds to go. And 10 minutes into this game, it looked like it could be a rout for LMU as they led at that point 4-0. But then the Arrows of Ursuline finally woke up and was able to have a long offensive possession. And due to that fact, the Arrows were able to get on the board first, as it was Haley Mazriku who scored with 18 minutes and 12 seconds to go. That made the advantage 4-1. And then Natalie Nowicki scored just a minute later, 17-11, and the 4-0 lead was cut in half, and that was made 4-2. The Lady Rail Splitters responded by a goal with 16 minutes and 40 seconds remaining, and that was by Zoe Zervos that made the score 5-2. And then Amara Moss scored. There was a long gap in between where neither team scored for a long time. Amara Moss broke that up with 4:56 to go. Then it was the back-to-back goals just seconds apart from Sydney Bartlett that made the advantage. The score was then 6-4. And then Natalie Nowicki scored with 3:55 remaining in the half to make it 6-5. That made it a one-point game. And then with just 25 seconds remaining in the half, Kennedy Beechner scored her second goal of the game to make it 7-5. Three different players in this game have scored 2 goals, and that is Sydney Bartlett and Natalie Nowicki for Ursuline, and the lone for Lincoln Memorial is Kennedy Beechner. Casey Kelly and Kennedy Beechner both put up 4 goals apiece just 48 hours ago down in Newberry, South Carolina, and 3 other Lady Rail Splitters scored 2 goals. That was Heather Roach, Amara Moss, and Zoe Zervos, and it's been another offensive show. The Lady Rail Splitters, not the greatest defensive team in the world thus far in the year, as they lost their first one 12-6 to Shorter, and their second one 17-8 to Alabama Huntsville. They were slightly better over the weekend as they only allowed 9 against Newberry, as they have so far in the first half allowed 5 to Ursuline College. And that is where we stand, 7-5 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. The LMU Sports Network will be covering another lacrosse matchup this Wednesday as the men's lacrosse squad will be in action from the LMU Lacrosse Complex as they're going to take on Florida Southern this Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. And with that, our halftime score is 7-5 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. Back after this, you're listening to the LMU Sports Network.
It makes a difference when a physician is trained to truly listen. At the LMU Medical Clinic, it is our mission to provide the highest quality medical care possible for our community, in our community. Our physicians are trained in the philosophy of osteopathic medicine. We look beyond your symptoms and take the time to get to know you as a whole person, from children to adults and everyone in between. We don't see patients, we see people.
At Citizens Bank, we're different from everyone else. We've proudly served business communities of Northeast Tennessee since 1912 and have security you can count on. We offer the convenience of internet banking, excellent loan services on various types of loans, cash management, and small business banking at all of our convenient locations in Harrogate, Tazewell, New Tazewell, Bean Station, and Morristown. Visit our website to find out more at citizensbanktn.com. Citizens Bank, no more banking as usual.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
For good food, great friends, or good times, make Angelo's in historic Cumberland Gap your next destination. Whether it's our made-from-scratch Italian cuisine, live music Thursday through Saturday evenings, our pet-friendly patio with fire pit, free Wi-Fi, or a game room with pool darts, shuffleboard, and cornhole, Angelo's has all the ingredients to satisfy your taste. Don't forget to check out our happy hour daily from 4 to 7 p.m. Angelo's in historic Cumberland Gap. Open Monday through Friday, 4 to close, Saturday and Sunday, noon to close.
Did you know Cumberland Ford of Middlesboro is the fastest growing Ford dealer in Eastern Kentucky? That being said, why drive to shop a bigger market when you have great prices at a top-tier dealership right here in the tri-state area? We've been serving Middlesboro and surrounding area for decades. From sales to service, Cumberland Ford is second to none. And remember, we're your $199 a month superstore. Cumberland Ford. Come see us today. 1501 Highway 25E on the Cumberland Gap Parkway, Middlesboro. Established in 1982, Dixie Roofing Incorporated of La Follette has been the industry's leader in commercial roofing throughout Knoxville, Tennessee, and surrounding counties for more than 30 years. From medical facilities to office buildings and educational institutions, Dixie Roofing has the experience, expertise, equipment, and know-how to handle roofing needs of any commercial structure, big or small. Dixie Roofing is also on the web at www.dixieroofing.com. Dixie Roofing Incorporated.
Unmatched and unbeatable. Your experience at Danny England Motors comes with the absolute best in offering unmatched quality while delivering an uncommon, hands-on process to take your automotive purchase to the next level in customer service and customer expectations. While offering a relaxed, positive environment and a laid-back approach, our drive to surpass the highest of standards in this industry comes nothing short of. Danny England Motors. Come see us today. Automotive excellence starts here.
welcome back to Harrogate, Tennessee, where the Lincoln Memorial Lady Rail Splitter Lacrosse Squad leads the Arrows of Ursuline by the score of 7-5 as we are set to resume second half play, or rather get underway here in the second half as the Lady Rail Splitters lead by 2. Folks, it's been a busy time for Lincoln Memorial Athletics as we are entering the midst of all the spring sports here on campus of Lincoln Memorial. Over the weekend, the LMU basketball teams were down in Greenville, South Carolina for the South Atlantic Conference Championship Tournament. And on Sunday afternoon and Sunday evening, both the Lady Rail Splitters and the Rail Splitter basketball teams were in the conference championship game. Unfortunately for Lincoln Memorial, neither team was able to emerge victorious as the ladies fell to the Wingate Bulldogs 81-61, and the Rail Splitters fell to the Royals of Queens University 75-72 as the NCAA regional tournaments will resume, or presume they will get underway this weekend. We'll have more information for you regarding those games as this broadcast continues, as the opening draw control of the second half is now underway, and it's controlled momentarily by Ursuline, and it's in the end picked up by Melissa Saganich and Lincoln Memorial. The first draw control of the second half is taken by the Lady Rail Splitters. Leading 7-5 is Lincoln Memorial. And on Saturday against Newberry, most of the offensive damage was done in that first half. 10 goals were scored in the first half, while 5 were scored in the second. The Wolves of Newberry put forth a little bit of a run in the second half, but the offensive production from the Lady Rail Splitters was enough to hold on and get the 6-point victory. Mentioned during the halftime break that the LMU Sports Network will return to the LMU Lacrosse Complex in just 2 days, that being on Wednesday, March 8th, as the Rail Splitter Lacrosse Squad hosts Florida Southern. And the Rail Splitters, after they were defeated in their first contest of the year on the road at Florida Tech, they have won 4 in a row as they were on the road and they defeated Shorter University by the score of 15-6, and that 4 consecutive wins is a program record in the third season of operation for head coach Ryan Kuhn and company and the Rail Splitters. And meanwhile, head coach Caitlin Carossi and company for Lincoln Memorial are looking to win back-to-back games after losing back-to-back games to start the season as they lead by 2 against the Arrows of Ursuline. As the Lady Rail Splitters have been on the offensive end for basically the entire portion of the second half in the early minutes of the second half. But Maddie Kipp changes that for the Arrows as she is bumped out of play, and we will resume here with Maddie Kipp throwing the ball in, down by 2 on the Arrows' first official possession of the second half. For the Arrows, the 5 goals have been scored by Haley Mazriku. She was the first one to score. He was the first Arrow to put a point on the board, and then it was Natalie Nowicki who scored 2 and Sydney Bartlett who scored 2. And of course, Bartlett, she put together her 2 goals just seconds of each other, as that was a tremendous swipe that time by number 19, Zoe Zervos, as she snuck up behind Maddie Kipp that time and was able to knock the ball out of her stick. As Lincoln Memorial, off of the nice defensive play, was not able to gain possession, however, off the nice defensive play by Zervos. And Ursuline will now almost gain possession, as it was a loose ball that time. It's still loose, and it's picked up by number 11, Annika Abreg, for Ursuline, excuse me. As this is now Maddie Kipp on the right side being defended by Zervos. And Zervos again was able to knock that ball away from Maddie Kipp. That's twice in just the span of a few seconds that Zervos was able to frustrate Kipp somewhat and not allow her to score, as a shot on goal attempt was unsuccessful that time by number 31, Brianna Cervantes. And Zoe Zervos is able to take over for Lincoln Memorial. A couple nice defensive plays from the Lady Rail Splitters on that possession right there. And now Kennedy Beechner for Lincoln Memorial, as there have been no scoring thus far in the second half. Throughout the first 30 minutes, there was scoring aplenty, as Beechner, being harassed by several defenders, turns the ball over. And the Arrows give it right back to Casey Kelly. Kelly slips and falls, and that's a foul against the Arrows. As that time, Kennedy Beechner just looking for a teammate to toss the ball over to, couldn't get it. And I believe that was Sydney Bartlett who was able to take the ball away, but then gave it right back to Casey Kelly and Lincoln Memorial, as it is 7-5 Lady Rail Splitters. And Lincoln Memorial is looking to extend that lead, as they won on Saturday by the margin of 6 over their South Atlantic Conference foe, Newberry. As we have another whistle, as Amara Moss was fouled that time. Moss, the sophomore from Woodbridge, Virginia. She'll bring it in towards the left side of the goal, and she just nearly scored. I believe it may have hit the left post, as Moss was just inches away from hitting that time. And it very nearly made it 8-5 Lincoln Memorial. But instead, we're going to go the other way with Ursuline. And again, for the second time in just a few minutes, just a couple minutes or seconds apart, Ursuline, right after they gain possession, they give it right back to Lincoln Memorial. As the Lady Rail Splitters now with Beechner. Beechner looking for another Lady Rail Splitter to pass the ball over to, and she finds, I believe that's number 11, Autumn Beddington. Beddington will give it back to Beechner. Beechner tries to spin past the defender. She now draws two defenders, tries to give it to Beddington, and there's a turnover for Lincoln Memorial, as heading the other way is Shannon Hurley for Ursuline, and another turnover for the Arrows, as this one was scooped up by Rachel Bernhardt. She picked Hurley right out of the air. A very nice defensive play by Lincoln Memorial. So after a plethora of offensive highlights for the Lady Rail Splitters in the first half, Lincoln Memorial has made several nice defensive plays here in the second period. Amara Moss towards the right side of the goal. She has Abigail Neely defending. She gives it off to Kennedy Beechner, one of the two Lady Rail Splitters that put forward 4 goals over the weekend, and Beechner already has 2 in today's affair. Beechner tries to spin past the defender, slips and falls as she was bumped a little bit by the defender. She's still down. And as we are still playing here with Casey Kelly on the left side, Beechner looks like she's okay, and Casey Kelly scores off the left side in the first goal of the second half for Lincoln Memorial, and it's 8-5 in favor of the Lady Rail Splitters. As we are approaching 7 minutes to go in the second half, officially that goal from Kelly came with 23 minutes and 40 seconds to go in the second half. And now Kelly, she has her second goal of the afternoon. So Kennedy Beechner has 2 goals, and Casey Kelly also has 2. That was her first goal since the opening seconds, and I mean that literally, as Kelly got the scoring started just 15 seconds into it. And Kelly now scores with 23:40 remaining in the second half to give the Lady Rail Splitters a little bit of a cushion with this 8-5 advantage. A little bit more breathing room with the 3-point deficit for Lincoln Memorial. As our next draw control is set to get underway, as Kelly tries to wrestle the ball away from Abigail Neely, and it's going to go to Ursuline. And that's a foul against Sydney Bartlett. Actually, that was a foul against Ursuline. I thought at first that was a foul against the Lady Rail Splitters, but it instead was a foul against Bartlett. And Lincoln Memorial now on the offensive side yet again, leading 3-5 at home here in Harrogate, Tennessee, for the first official home matchup of the 2017 campaign. Just as I say that, just as the Lady Rail Splitters were on offense, the Arrows take it back the other way. In the first half, even though there were a plethora of goals scored by both teams, there was a combined 12 goals scored in the first half, neither team was able to keep possession for a really long time, with the exception of a couple possessions. One of the Arrows' possessions was an exceptionally long time. But now here in the second half, neither team has been able to control offensively for very long, as we've only seen one goal here in the second half of play after the 7-5 halftime score. And it's now 8-5 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. Maddie Kipp for Ursuline on the right side, as she attempted a shot on goal that was no good towards the left side. And it's going to be picked up by Annika Abreg of the Arrows. Abreg now looking for a teammate to find. She finds Maddie Kipp, who had a great catch that time. Ball was almost out of her reach. Tries to spin past the defender, almost scores on goal, couldn't do it. And the Arrows still retain possession after 2 shots on goal. Natalie Nowicki with Melissa Saganich defending her hard, and that's actually going to be a whistle against Saganich. And that's a yellow card against Melissa Saganich, and she is going to have to sit down following that yellow card. As it looked like Natalie Nowicki, the freshman from Plymouth, Michigan, was bumped just a little bit too hard that time by Saganich, and that drew the yellow card from the official. As the Arrows trying to cut into this 3-point deficit, they've been fighting from behind for the entirety of the contest. They've been down by as many as 4, and that was a 4-0 disadvantage in the first half. They are now behind by 3, as there's a scramble for the ball near the goal, and that's picked up by Shannon Novak of the Lady Rail Splitters. Novak, a long pass near midfield, and it's caught by Casey Kelly. She almost had it and lost it for a second, but is able to scoop it back up. Casey Kelly has the ball knocked away by an Ursuline defender, and the Arrows will now take over. It's what I alluded to just a few moments ago. Neither team able to hold the possession for very long, as that's another yellow card against Lincoln Memorial, this time against Heather Roach, as Roach swiped at Grace Savage of Ursuline with her stick, and was apparently to the official, that contact drew a yellow card. So back-to-back yellow cards against Lincoln Memorial within the span of just a few minutes. As it seems to be so far, with the exception of the 1 goal for Lincoln Memorial, that the Arrows have been able to gain control for the majority of the second half, as the Arrows were able to score off of an exceptionally long possession early in the first half. And I believe that was the one capped off by Natalie Nowicki, if I'm not mistaken. As Ursuline now will continue their offensive possession after we resume play. Ursuline now is going to have to score, and they're going to have to score efficiently and play some good defense. As Maddie Kipp looked to score on the right side, but another save that time by the junior goalie Shannon Novak of Lincoln Memorial. Maddie Kipp has had some excellent looks at the goal thus far in this game. She's just not been able to capitalize thus far. Most of the scoring on the day, at least for the Arrows, has been done by Nowicki and Bartlett. As this is Blyden for Lincoln Memorial, loses the ball. It's picked up by Nowicki, and Nowicki going the other way. Lincoln Memorial, another just quick offensive possession that led to a turnover and an outlet for Ursuline, as there was a shot on goal attempt. That was by Abigail Neely that time. The shot was high on the goal, and that's a whistle against Lincoln Memorial. I think it's against possibly Amara Moss, as Neely has just now gotten to her feet, took a hard shot there right at the goal. And that's actually going to be against number 15, Jenny Shorling for Lincoln Memorial. That was officially goes down as a check to the head for Jenny Shorling. So Ursuline will now continue their offensive possession. They've not been able to score so far here in the second half, despite having the ball for a pretty long length of time here in the second period. They have not been able to put any more points on the board in the second half. As we have a stoppage in play to clear up that whistle just a few moments ago. As the Lady Rail Splitters looking to win their second consecutive game after defeating Newberry on Saturday, trying to put away the Arrows here at home. They're going to have to get it done. They're going to have to get it done defensively, and they were able to that time as Abigail Neely had another shot on goal opportunity, and she's down again as that one hit the bottom half of the left post that time. And Neely, I don't know if there was a lot of contact on that goal attempt, as she was trying to drive hard to the goal and fell on her way down. As an unsuccessful shot on goal attempt for number 24, Abigail Neely, the sophomore from Lansing, Michigan. The Lady Rail Splitters now finally on the offensive end, and that's a whistle against Ursuline. As the Arrows defender that time fouled Mia Blyden from Lincoln Memorial. And here come the Lady Rail Splitters the other way as Casey Kelly scoops up a ground ball and gets fouled again. Another foul by the Arrows. And it happened right at midfield as this one is on, can't tell who that player is, can't see that jersey, and that's number 6, Grace Savage. As that was another one of those kind of 50-50 balls where Kelly was able to scoop it up right at midfield, and just as she did, Savage, who was also looking for the ball, just had contact that time with Casey Kelly. LMU with their 3-point advantage. Had a long time without a goal. The lone goal here in the second half came by Casey Kelly, and that was with 23:40 remaining in the second half. And since then, there's not been a whole lot of offensive production from either side. Not a lot of long possessions. Either team kind of just flip-flopping back and forth. As we have a timeout here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex, and we'll take it with them. LMU leads 8-5. Back after this, you're watching the LMU Sports Network.
If you enjoy lakes, boating, mountains, and great food, you'll love Norris Landing Marina in Claiborne County, Tennessee. Located off Lone Mountain Road, Norris Landing Marina has these benefits for you. A 170-slip marina with seasonal rental slips, rental pontoon and pleasure boats, vacation cabins and cottages, a 23-space RV park, and Jimmy's Place Restaurant. Great food and casual dining in an on-the-water setting. Contact us and make the Norris Landing Marina your enjoyment destination.
18 minutes and 36 seconds remain here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex in the second half of play, as Lincoln Memorial leads the Arrows of Ursuline College by the score of 8-5. As the lone goal here in the second half has come from Casey Kelly, and that was with 23:40 remaining, and we're coming up on 18 minutes, as about 5 minutes has passed without a goal, and that has been a rarity, at least in this contest, as the score is 8-5, as there have been 13 combined goals from both teams. It was an offensive flurry in the first half. So far in the second half, it is a different story. Folks, want to remind you, coming back to the Lincoln Memorial Lady Rail Splitter and Rail Splitter basketball teams, as they will get set for the NCAA regional tournaments this coming weekend. The ladies will be in action on Friday, and that start time is looking like it's going to be about 12 o'clock noon, as they're going to be facing off against Clayton State from Columbus, Georgia. Meanwhile, the Rail Splitter basketball team, off of their close loss to Queens in the South Atlantic Conference Championship game, they are going to travel to Charlotte, North Carolina in Queens' gym to play Pfeiffer. And that's going to take place on Saturday. And should the Lady Rail Splitters win on Friday, they will play Saturday and possibly the regional championship game on Monday. And the games from Charlotte, North Carolina on the men's side will take place Saturday, Sunday, and Tuesday. As we are just about set to resume off the timeout from Harrogate, Tennessee. Again, Lady Rail Splitters lead 8-5 as we are coming up on 18 minutes left to go in the second half. Ursuline has not been able to put together any goals so far in the second half, as 3 different players have scored their 5 goals, that being Mazriku, Nowicki, and Bartlett, with Nowicki and Bartlett having 2 apiece, and Bartlett's 2 coming in the span of just a couple of seconds. As LMU, again, this is Amara Moss, as the Lady Rail Splitters haven't been able to have a ton of offensive production so far in the second half. They do have 1 goal. That came from Casey Kelly with 23:40 left to go in this second half of play. Kelly's second game of the afternoon. As Kelly gives it off to several Rail Splitters are touching the ball now. This is Bernhardt. She gives it to number 1. That's Jasmine Click, the attacker slash midfielder, from Claremont, Florida. As the Lady Rail Splitters with Beechner. Beechner now to Jasmine Click. Behind the goal, gives it to Amara Moss. From my knowledge, this is the longest offensive possession of the second half for Lincoln Memorial, and that is just what they need with this 3-goal advantage, up 8-5. And just as I say that, Kelly turns the ball over, as that was number 88, Emma Barnes from Ursuline, who provided the turnover, and then Jasmine Click goes the other way, gives it right back to Lincoln Memorial, and there's another goal for the Lady Rail Splitters. That one came from Autumn Beddington, number 11, the junior from Newburgh, Indiana, puts the goal, and LMU their second goal of the second half, and they now lead by 4, 9-5. With 16 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in this second half, the Lady Rail Splitters, off of probably their most well-worked offensive possession of the second half, and Beddington was able to put it through, and that is Autumn Beddington's first goal of the 2017 season, and comes with 16:52 remaining, and the Lady Rail Splitters now hold a 9-5 advantage over Ursuline. And the Lady Rail Splitters had such a long offensive possession that time, and Casey Kelly turned it over to Emma Barnes of Ursuline, and Barnes gave it right back to Lincoln Memorial, and from that point on, the Lady Rail Splitters had no chance. The Arrows had no chance of scoring. I said the Lady Rail Splitters. The Lady Rail Splitters was no problem scoring that time. From Autumn Beddington. The Arrows were the ones who had no chance on defense that time. Similar to Sydney Bartlett's goal earlier in the first half, coming off that draw control where she was able to score off of just a huge scramble for the ball, and she had numbers going the other way. This was somewhat similar to that, with Autumn Beddington going the other way off of the turnover by Emma Barnes of Ursuline. And now the Lady Rail Splitters lead 9-5, trying to win their second consecutive game of the season and their second game overall on the year in their first contest at home this season. Amara Moss now gives it to Jasmine Click. Click over to Rachel Bernhardt. Bernhardt gives it off to Zoe Zervos. And now Casey Kelly on the left side. Kelly spins past the defender, got an open lane to the goal, and nearly scored. It was blocked by an Ursuline defender, as Kelly had a good look at it that time, but Amara Moss retains possession, and Jasmine Click tried to score there, but there was a whistle before she could get the shot on goal opportunity, as it was a foul that time against Annika Abreg. And Jasmine Click will look to attack and make it a 5-point advantage, and she does. Jasmine Click with her first goal of the afternoon, and the goals are coming in spurts for Lincoln Memorial, and the advantage is now 5. It's 10-5 LMU. 15 minutes and 2 seconds remain, as the last goal from Autumn Beddington came with 16:52, and now Jasmine Click's goal comes at 15 minutes and 2 seconds left in the second half. And now, if you're the Arrows in Ursuline, you're going to have to look for a lot of goals, and you're going to have to look at all those goals in quick succession, as they now face a 5-goal deficit, down 10-5 with just over 15 minutes to go in the second half. Lady Rail Splitters trying to close in on their second victory in a row, and their first victory at home this season, and their first game played at home this season. Casey Kelly wins the draw control, and Kelly being swarmed by defenders from Ursuline. And look to see that for the Arrows. Look to see very aggressive defense here in the next few minutes, as the Arrows are going to try and get some Lincoln Memorial turnovers to cut into the deficit and try to come back from this 5-point deficit. This 5-point deficit is their largest of the game, as that foul was against Madison Kipp, who tripped Jasmine Click that time. And Amara Moss now, as Lincoln Memorial trying to make the hole even deeper for Ursuline. It's a 5-point deficit as it stands. And Moss throws it now over to, I believe that is Kennedy Beechner. Yes, it is. Beechner to Click. Click with Victoria Madray defending. Click's going to flick it over to Kennedy Beechner. Another long offensive possession for the Lady Rail Splitters, as it's Rachel Bernhardt this time who gets it over to Jasmine Click. And Click looking to set up the offense for Lincoln Memorial. Lady Rail Splitters who lead this one 10-5. So far in the second half, they led 7-5 at the break, and it's been 3-0 Lincoln Memorial in the second period of play off of 3 goals from Kelly, Beddington, and Click. As Kelly trying to weave her way through several Arrow defenders, and that's another whistle against Ursuline, as the aggressive defense by the Arrows is maybe a little bit too much that time, as Kelly was fouled, as she looks to score again off the whistle. She's already put forth 2 goals in today's contest, as Kelly looked to score and she thought better of it and backed out. Jasmine Click to Rachel Bernhardt to Kennedy Beechner. Beechner looks to score, looks to spin past defenders, but she's got 2 swarming her. She's got to give it up to Autumn Beddington. Beddington, who scored her first goal of the season just a few minutes ago. And this is Rachel Bernhardt to Amara Moss. Moss scored late in the first half, looking to do it again, and she does do it again. Amara Moss scores her second goal of the game, and the Lady Rail Splitters are pouring it on Ursuline now, as the Lady Rail Splitters now take an 11-5 advantage off of Amara Moss's second goal of the contest. And it comes with 12 minutes and 36 seconds to go in the second half, as we now have a operating clock working on the scoreboard here. Is being told that it's only on the goals, rather. It's not going to be during the game play. As I said that, our technical director, Adam Haley, was flailing his arms at me, telling me that that was wrong. So the Goal scored by Amar Moss comes with 12:36 to go as we resume play in the second half. And the deficit has gotten even bigger for Ursuline. It's a 6-goal deficit for the Arrows, and that's going to be hard to come back from. And for Ursuline, if you look at their last game, they were able to win 18-6. They only gave up 6 goals to Mount St. Joseph. This time they've given up 11 to Lincoln Memorial, who has really hit their stride offensively as of late, as they put up 15 on the road against Newberry. They've already put up 11 here, as we still have about 12 or 11 minutes to play here in the second half. And Casey Kelly, she's got Maddie Kipp on her. And Amara Moss loses the ball for a second and officially turns the ball over to Victoria Madray, going the other way for Ursuline. And Amara Moss swipes the ball away from Madray, but Madray picks it back up. And this is Sydney Bartlett, who tries to bull a defender out of her way. And there's a whistle after the contact there. Lincoln Memorial, after turning the ball over, they've done a good job of trying to swipe that ball away from behind, and they've done that several times in the game, but it seems like every time they're not able to get it, and Sydney Bartlett scores her second goal of the game. Just like that, another goal from Sydney Bartlett. That's her third goal of the game. And Bartlett, every time she's scored thus far in this game, it's been in quick succession. You better look out if you're Lincoln Memorial, because the last time Sydney Bartlett scored, she scored with 7:01 left in the second half, and then again with 6:39 to go in the first half, rather. 7:01 and 6:39 were the times she scored in the first half, and she scores here with 11 minutes and 30 seconds exactly to go in the second half. 11:30 to go in the entire game, and it's 11-6 now in favor of Lincoln Memorial, so a little bit of life is still left in Ursuline after Sydney Bartlett's third goal of the contest. Seems like all of Ursuline's goals so far in the game, or at least a big chunk of them, have come in quick succession and have come off of a Lady Rail Splitter turnover. Something that Lincoln Memorial may want to clean up here in the coming weeks is after a turnover to not surrender a goal so quickly, to get back on defensive a little bit better, as they have allowed only 6 goals thus far in this game. So far, that's the least that they've allowed in the early games of the season, as they allowed 12 against Shorter University and 17 against Alabama Huntsville. And then 2 days ago against Newberry, the Wolves put up 9 against Lincoln Memorial. So if this score stands, it would be the least amount of goals LMU would allow so far in the season, as Amara Moss's shot attempt is unsuccessful, as there is a new goalie in the game for the Arrows of Ursuline. That's Sarah Bowerman, the senior from Plymouth, Michigan. And Lincoln Memorial scores another goal after the unsuccessful shot attempt from Amara Moss. Ursuline was able to take over, but then the Lady Rail Splitters got it right back and scored another goal, and the deficit is back to 6. That was another goal from Amara Moss. Back-to-back goals from Moss. Unbelievable. That's her third goal of the game, and it comes with 10:22 to go in the contest. So just a little over a minute after Sydney Bartlett's goal made it a 5-goal game, it is now 6, as Amara Moss scores back-to-back goals with 12:36 and 10:22 remaining on the clock, as the Lady Rail Splitters' advantage stretches back out to 6. They lead this one by the score of 12-6. As our next draw control is getting ready to get underway with Amara Moss. It's been a heck of a game for Amara Moss, as she wins another draw control and gets bumped by number 6, Grace Savage, in the process. And Lincoln Memorial looking to score again quickly, trying to definitively put the Arrows away as they lead by 6. And there's another shot on goal. Lady Rail Splitters are crushing the Arrows defense. Another goal by Lincoln Memorial in the span of just a few seconds, and it's now 13-6, the largest lead of the game for LMU. As it comes with 10 minutes and 3 seconds left to go in the game, and the deficit is getting much bigger for Ursuline as the game goes on. As they're waiting to see who scored that goal, I didn't quite catch who that was, as Lady Rail Splitters scored in such quick succession. They now take a 7-goal lead. And that was number 19, Zoe Zervos. That was her second goal of the game.
Lady Rail Splitter goal scored by number 19, Zoe Zervos, assisted by number 27.
And Zervos now is up. She puts the Lady Rail Splitters up 13-6. As just a few moments ago, it was 11-5, and now it is 13-6. 2 goals for Lincoln Memorial come just 19 seconds apart from Amara Moss and from Zoe Zervos. And the deficit now, as we are within 10 minutes to go here in the game, if you're Ursuline, you're facing this 7-point deficit, and you've got to think you've got to be on offense more here. You can't stay on the defensive side if you want to complete this huge comeback and want to come back and win this game. It's got to be on the offensive side, and let the Lady Rail Splitters know that, as Casey Kelly gives it off to Jasmine Click. Click to Zervos, who just picked up her second goal of the game. Her first came with 16:40 to go in the first half. She now scores her second with 10:03 to go in the second half. As there is a whistle against the Arrows that time, as it looked like there was a push in the back that time against Amara Moss. As Moss has exploded in the second half. She's scored 3 goals total in this game. She had her first with 4:56 to go in the first half, and she scored her second goal with 12:36 to go in the second half, and then her third goal of the game just about 2 minutes later with 10:22 to go in the final half of play, as her shot on goal attempt that time was a little bit too high. And the ball is going to stay with Lincoln Memorial off the whistle against the Arrows. And check that. That's actually against Amara Moss. I thought that was a foul against the Arrows, and it's actually, I believe that was a yellow card against Amara Moss, as it was a check there towards the goal on that shot on goal attempt. It was, the ball just went a little bit too high over the goal, and the Arrows are going to take over after the penalty on Amara Moss, and that's going to lead us to a timeout, and we will take it with them. With under 10 to go in the second half, LMU leads 13-6. Back after this, you're watching the LMU Sports Network.
Make K&K Metal Sales your only stop for all your residential and commercial metal building needs. For the past 23 years, K&K Metal Sales has covered the tri-state area with quality custom roofing and siding with many grades, gauges, and colors in stock. If you're looking for complete steel or wood building packages or steel or wood trusses, K&K Metal Sales can help with that, as well as heavy-duty custom carports. Great folks and great prices. Stop by K&K Metal Sales located at 6986 Cumberland Gap Parkway or call 423-869-4261.
The penalty against Amara Moss officially goes down as a dangerous follow-through on the shot on goal attempt that time for the sophomore. And Moss has put in a great game of work. She scored 3 goals total, 1 in the first half and 2 in the second half in quick succession, as we're officially at 8 minutes 43 seconds to go in the second half. And the Lady Rail Splitters lead by 7. And if you're Lincoln Memorial right now, you've got to think that you want the ball on offense as long as possible, preventing the Arrows from trying to put together a miracle comeback here. And if you're the Arrows, it's got to be the opposite. You've got to get the ball on offense, and you've got to be aggressive on the defensive side of the ball, as the last few minutes have been won, dominantly by Lincoln Memorial, as really so far in the second half, goalie Shannon Novak for Lincoln Memorial has had a pretty easy afternoon in the second half. After 5 goals scored from the Arrows in the first, it's only been 1 in the second half, and that was by Sydney Bartlett, and that was with 11 minutes and 30 seconds to go. And so the Lady Rail Splitters with a 7-point advantage as we are now set to resume play off of the penalty on Amara Moss. So the Arrows will now take over on offense following the penalty, and it's going to be Sydney Bartlett. Bartlett, who has scored 3 goals on the day for the Arrows. She's got Casey Kelly right beside her, and now she blows right past her, tries to get a shot on goal, loses the ball, and there's a whistle as she attempted that shot, as that's a foul against the Lady Rail Splitters. And that's going to be a shot on goal opportunity here for Bartlett. And what a great save that time by Shannon Novak. Novak knew right where it was going. It went to the left side of the goal. And because of that, Novak was able to make a terrific save. Unfortunately, her long pass out to Ursuline was just a little bit too long, and it resulted in a turnover for Lincoln Memorial. But it looks like that's going to be an offsides penalty against Ursuline, as Maddie Kipp tried to cross that line, just was a little bit too late in doing so. As we are waiting to resume play, and we will with Ursuline. Nowicki gives the ball off to Hannah Hunt. She gives it back to Maddie Kipp. Kipp spins past Zoe Zervos, and the shot on goal attempt is so close that time. Just hit the post for Ursuline, as they're trying to score in a hurry here, down by 7 with a 13-6 disadvantage, as Kipp, another shot on goal, this time gets past Shannon Novak, and the score is now 13-7 off the first goal of the game for Maddie Kipp, the senior from Grand Blanc, Michigan. Maddie Kipp, after several great looks on the shot on goal attempts so far in the game, she scores this one with 7 minutes and 9 seconds remaining in the game. And the Arrows are not quite out of this one yet, as it's now down to 6. It's now a 13-7 advantage for Lincoln Memorial off the second goal of the second half for Ursuline. The Arrows were able to knock down 5 goals in the first half. They've put up 2 in the second. As our next draw control is set to get underway between Casey Kelly and Abigail Neely, as there's a whistle really before the draw control could even happen that time, as we're going to redo it. Lady Rail Splitters up by 6 at home from the LMU Lacrosse Complex here in Harrogate, Tennessee. And this draw control is nearly won by the Lady Rail Splitters. Amara Moss almost picked it up. And that's going to be a foul against Ursuline, and Moss will take it the other way for Lincoln Memorial. Moss towards the right side. At the X, she gives it off to, I believe that's Autumn Beddington. Yes, it is. She gives to Kennedy Beechner. Beechner throws it off to Jasmine Click, who passes it off to Zoe Zervos. Casey Kelly with Brianna Cervantes defending her, as Amara Moss takes a huge body check right there in front of the goal. And that's a yellow card against the Arrows, trying to see who that one is officially on. And it is on number 6. That's Grace Savage, the senior from Plymouth, Michigan. She looked savage on that hip check that time to Amara Moss, as just the contact was just a little bit too much on that occasion, as Moss will look for the shot on goal attempt following the penalty against the Arrows. Moss down the middle, tried to go low on the shot opportunity, and it's no good. Saved that time by Sarah Bowerman. And Ursuline will now take over, again down by 6. And Bowerman's pass is nearly stolen by Jasmine Click, and there's a whistle, and it's going to go over to Lincoln Memorial. As another great defensive effort by Jasmine Click. And the Lady Rail Splitters will continue their offensive possession. The game plan has worked right into the Lady Rail Splitters' favor. They've been on the offensive side throughout a long portion of this second half. And the last few minutes have seen all the action take place here on the left side of the field, and that's where you want it if you're head coach Caitlin Carassi. You want Lincoln Memorial to withhold that scoring run from Ursuline. You don't want it to get any less than this 6-goal advantage for LMU, and that's what the Lady Rail Splitters are doing. As there's another goal, this time by number 23, Rachel Bernhardt. Bernhardt scores her 2nd goal of the game, and the deficit turns back into 7 points. Excellently executed that time by the Lady Rail Splitters, as Rachel Bernhardt scores her 2nd goal of the game with 5 minutes and 10 seconds to go. A very timely goal that time for Lincoln Memorial, as Bernhardt, entering today's contest, had not scored thus far in the 2017 campaign, and today she has scored twice. She scored the 4th goal of the game for the Lady Rail Splitters with 20 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the first half, and she provided what could be the dagger for Lincoln Memorial as we await 5 minutes to go in the second half. The deficit is back to 7. The Lady Rail Splitters lead the Arrows of Ursuline College 14-7 off Bernhardt's 2nd goal of the afternoon. As we await our next draw control throughout the afternoon, the draw controls have, for the most part, been won by Lincoln Memorial, and there's another one as Jesse Graham picks that one up, the junior from Aldie, Virginia. And the Lady Rail Splitters will again take over on the offensive side. It's not what you want if you're Ursuline. With this 7-goal deficit, you want to be on the offense as much as possible, and the Lady Rail Splitters have thwarted that plan so far. Within the last few minutes, they've been on offense for a long, long time. And that is how they've been able to manage this 7-point lead, up 14-7 here at home at the LMU Lacrosse Complex, as that is another foul against Maddie Kipp, as she fouls Casey Kelly. And Zoe Zervos looks to run down the middle and score. There's a whistle in the process, as that's another whistle against Ursuline. And Zervos will look to score her 3rd goal of the game, and she does. Zervos, another goal for Lincoln Memorial, and it is the biggest lead of the game for Lincoln Memorial, and it could not come at a better time for the Lady Rail Splitters, with 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go, exactly 60 seconds after Rachel Bernhardt's goal made it a 7-point game. It is now 8. The Lady Rail Splitters lead 15-7 off of Zervos' 3rd goal of the game. 2 Lady Rail Splitters have scored 3 goals on the afternoon, that being Amara Moss and Zoe Zervos. And Casey Kelly has scored twice, and Rachel Bernhardt has scored twice on the afternoon. So another offensive flurry, an offensive explosion, if you will, for Lincoln Memorial, as they put up 15 goals over the weekend at Newberry, and they've put up 15 today here at home for the first time in the 2017 campaign. As this one, as we approach about 4 minutes to go, and Lincoln Memorial wins yet another draw control. This one looks to be just about out of reach for Ursuline, as it is an 8-goal advantage for Lincoln Memorial. 15-7 in favor of the Lady Rail Splitters. If this is any indication, it looks like Lincoln Memorial is going to win their second consecutive game, and they will stand at an even 2-2 in the 2017 season for back-to-back victories against Newberry and what could be a victory today against the Arrows of Ursuline College. The Lady Rail Splitters will return to action this coming Saturday when they travel to Catawba to face the Indians in their second South Atlantic Conference game of the season. As Rachel Bernhardt is going to give it over to Zoe Zervos. And just getting told now that this is the first 2-game win streak. Should the Lady Rail Splitters hold on, this will be the first 2-game win streak in the history of the program. So another history-making win for Lincoln Memorial in their third season of operation, as the men's team over the weekend, they put up their own record with their 4th consecutive victory. Now the Lady Rail Splitters have added their own record with their 2nd consecutive victory, as it looks like they're going to hold off the Arrows, and they're going to emerge victorious here at home from the LMU Lacrosse Complex as they lead this one so far 15-7, as we're just a couple minutes away from the conclusion of this game. As Casey Kelly will be set to throw it back in, as we are approaching 2 minutes to go in this contest, and as I said, this one is all but out of reach for the Arrows with an 8-goal deficit. As for a while there in the first half, it looked like the Arrows were going to capitalize on their great comeback after falling in a 4-0 hole. They were able to make it a 2-goal game at the half. But since then, over the last few minutes in the second half, the Lady Rail Splitters have been able to outfight the Arrows, and they have their biggest lead of the game, 15-7, off of Zervos' goal just a couple minutes ago. As 2 goals by Ursuline in this second half, those have come from Sydney Bartlett and Maddie Kipp. And it has just not been enough for the Arrows in the second half, as it seems like the Lady Rail Splitters have had possession of the ball for about this whole second half of the second half. And there's another score by Casey Kelly, and the deficit is even bigger. And that is officially the dagger in this contest, as Casey Kelly scores just 15 seconds into the game, and she scores again with 1 minute 23 seconds to go in the game. That is Kelly's 3rd goal of the game. She becomes the 3rd Lady Rail Splitter to put up 3 goals in this contest, joining Amara Moss and also joining Rachel Bernhardt. 3 goals for Casey Kelly. She got the scoring started on the day with just 15 seconds in, and she provides the dagger for LMU with 1:23 to go, and LMU now leads it 16-7. Again, their biggest lead of the game. They lead it by 9. And the ball goes out of bounds as we approach about a minute to go in this game. The Lady Rail Splitters are going to advance to 2-2 on the year as they await another South Atlantic Conference matchup against the Catawba Indians on Saturday. Lincoln Memorial put up 7 goals in the first half, and they have exploded here in the second for 9 total goals in the second half of play. As we have another whistle, and we are just awaiting the final seconds of this game. As we are under a minute to go here from Harrogate, Tennessee. And the Lady Rail Splitters are going to close in on their 2nd consecutive victory. And they're going to head into their matchup with Catawba with even more momentum than they had coming into today's game against Ursuline. as the time winds down here for the Lady Rail Splitters. A home victory in front of the Lady Rail Splitter faithful in Harrogate, Tennessee. And almost another shot on goal opportunity that time. I believe that was Kennedy Beechner that time, and the final siren sounds, and this game is over. The Lady Rail Splitters defeat the Arrows of Ursuline College by a final score of 16-7. Back after this with post-game wrap-up here. You're watching the LMU Sports Network. The Lady Rail Splitters win by 9.
At Emery Exterminating Company, we have more than 30 years experience in pest control and are a family-owned full-service company that utilizes integrated techniques to manage pests that invade your home or business. If you have a rodent, ant, or bug problem, Emery Exterminating is dedicated to reducing your insect and pest populations. Our belief is that we're only as good as our employees, and that's why each of our technicians are extensively trained with the latest technologies and are reliable, efficient, and professional at all times. For more information of what Emery Exterminating can do to rid your home of unwanted pests, contact us today. Emery Exterminating Company.
When my father started Food City, he held his stores to the highest standard of quality. He believed that every store should have a knowledgeable butcher so that customers always got the most for their money. Now today there are Food City stores in 4 states, and you'll find certified Angus beef in every one of them, and always at a great price. That's value, and that's what you'll find at Food City.
Established in Jonesville, Virginia in 1888, Powell Valley National Bank has been serving businesses and residents of the region for more than 125 years and stands as the 5th oldest bank in the Commonwealth today. With additional locations now throughout the region, today Powell Valley National Bank offers the convenience of state-of-the-art banking, whether it be home, personal, business, convenience, or loans, while still assisting its customers one person at a time. Find us online at powvalleybank.com. Powell Valley National Bank. Stability and banking you can count on.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
Since 1959, Giles Industries has built more than 86,000 quality homes through craftsmanship of team members from the tri-state area. Our clients are extremely important to us, and we're looking for team-oriented family members which allow us to continue that level of excellence known to come with the Giles brand. Our team members receive above-average pay, great health, dental, and vision coverage, a 401k retirement package, and up to 2 weeks paid vacation following the first year of employment. Contact us about joining our Giles Industries family. Giles Industries, quality homes built by family for family.
Juggling my family schedule is a full-time job. Between school, dance practice, work, there's little time left to worry about much else. That's why I use real-time banking from Home Federal Bank. With real-time banking, I know that when I make a deposit, the money goes straight to my account. No delays, no waiting, no wondering. And I get to focus on what's important.
Real-time deposits, real-time access, real-time banking. From Home Federal Bank, always within reach.
Commercial, residential, or personal, Lester Signs of Harrogate has you covered with all your sign and graphic needs. From embroidery and screen printing to personalized items, decals, yard signs, logo design, car wraps, digital printing, and sign maintenance, Lester Signs has all your branding needs. Lester Signs is under new ownership and has been serving the tri-state area for more than 25 years. Phone us today to inquire about your commercial sign or marketing specialized needs, or email us at sales@lestersigns.com. Lester Signs, located at 112 Washington Avenue, Harrogate.
Another history-making win for the Lady Rail Splitter lacrosse squad, as fresh off of their first South Atlantic Conference victory in program history, the Lady Rail Splitters have now won back-to-back games for the first time in the history of the program in their 3rd season of operation. A scoring breakdown here in the second half of play. Casey Kelly began the scoring in the second half as she did in the first half. It just took her a little bit longer than in the first half. It only took 15 seconds. This time took a little over 6 minutes as Casey Kelly scored with 23:40 to go in the second half, followed by Autumn Beddington with 16:52 remaining in the half. Then Jasmine Click put her first goal of the game in with 15 minutes and 2 seconds to go. And Amara Moss scored with 12:36 remaining in the second half. Sydney Bartlett for the Arrows scored with 11 minutes and 30 seconds to go in the half. And Amara Moss scored with 10:22. And Zoe Zervis score with 10 minutes and 3 seconds remaining. The final goal of the game by the Arrows was scored by Maddie Kipp with 7 minutes and 9 seconds to go. Rachel Bernhardt scored with 5 minutes and 10 seconds, and then Zoe Zerva scored her third goal of the game just a minute later with 4 minutes and 10 seconds to go, and Casey Kelly scored her third and final goal of the game with 1 minute and 23 remaining for your 16-7 final score as Lincoln Memorial defeats the visiting Arrows of Ursuline College for their first home victory of the 2017 season. They now advance to 2-2 on the year. They will return to action this coming Saturday when they will travel to Salisbury, North Carolina to take on the Catawba Indians. That'll be at a 12 o'clock noon start time, and then they will play again the following Thursday as they will have their second home contest of the year. That's going to be against the Cavaliers of UVA Wise. That has a 5 o'clock p.m. start time. As for the LMU Sports Network, we will be broadcasting the men's lacrosse game. That's going to take place on Wednesday as they host Florida Southern. So our final score here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex, the Lady Rail Splitters defeat Ursuline. Final score 16-7. For your technical direction by Adam Haley, camera operation by Elizabeth Manning, I'm Brandon Burke. For everyone here at the LMU Sports Network, so long, everybody.